Good morning, and today is Friday, May 28th, and today I'm going to talk to you about another one of my hobbies. But first I want to talk to you about what you said in your last video. You said that hobbies are something that, you need to have something material attached to it, and it needs to be something that you're able to look back on, and I don't think I agree with that statement at all. I think that a hobby is something that you do in your spare time for funsies. And it's not necessarily for having, but it's just for funsies. Just for fun. I think hobbies are just something that you do to pass the time, something that you enjoy simply for you and not for anybody else. Which brings me to one of my other favorite hobbies, reading. You're gonna hear a lot of writers tell you that the only way to be a good writer is to be a good reader, and I think that's so many different forms of bullshit. What being a good reader affords you is the opportunity to be able to analyze your own work, which I think is something important, but it's not necessarily the most important thing you have to have in order to be a writer. The reason I read is for enjoyment. And I consider reading to be a hobby, not because anybody else enjoys the fact that I read, but because I enjoy to read it, and something that passes the time and makes me feel good. So today I'm going to talk to you about a few of my favorite books. A Clockwork Orange is definitely one of my favorite books, just the language and the slang and the violence and the rape, it's all fun and games. The Picture of Dorian Gray is unquestionably my favorite quote-unquote classic book. I just think it's very well written and it's a very interesting plot line. It's a page-turner to say the least. Billy Collins is my favorite poet. Now, like, when you think of poetry, you think of, like, Keats and you think of Shakespeare and you think it has to be all fruity and lovey-dovey and you don't really think of modern poets really past the beats. But Billy Collins is a poet who's writing today and he just writes, it's so accessible and it's really just so relatable to everybody and I love it so much. He writes one poem called Lanyard, which is about making a lanyard at summer camp and, giving it to your mom. It's just wonderful. I love it. Tracy Letts is one of my favorite playwrights. This is Killer Joe, about a family who hires a private assassin to kill their mother so they can collect her life insurance. It's a feel-good comedy. I read this is Breakfast on Pluto. I read this when I was in freshman year, and all my teachers got mad at me because it's about the bastard son of a priest and a British woman, and he grows up to be gay, and he goes on to find his mother. I love it, but all my teachers got mad at me for reading it. Everybody goes through an awkward phase in their life, and my awkward phase lasted from 5th to 6th grade, during which I had friends and I talked to people, but most of what I did was read Stephen King books. See? Told you. Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin is probably my favorite piece of nonfiction. It's about how Abraham Lincoln was able to put all of his political enemies in his cabinet and able to use them to his advantage when it came to the Civil War. I just think it's really well written, and also I think it's ironic that a biography about Lincoln won the Lincoln Prize. I just think that's ironic. This is a collection of short stories by an Israeli writer whose name I can't pronounce because there's not enough vowels. One of the stories in here went on to become the movie Wrist Cutters, and I just think these stories are so funny and they're so sad, but like they're whimsical at the same time. This is what I'm reading now. For those of you who recognize it, you know that I'm in for a long haul. For those of you who don't know, this is David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest. And it is long. Not only is it over 1,000 pages, but it has like teeny tiny text. I don't really know what it's about yet. It seems to be somewhat of a satire, and I like that, but it's hard to read, so I'm working on that right now. Wish me luck. I can't find my copy of it right now, but Catcher in the Rye is unquestionably my favorite book of all time. I mean, with the hunting cap and the ducks and the carousel and the rain and the psychiatrist's office, you can't not like that book, especially if you're a teenager. If you don't like Catcher in the Rye, you probably don't like it because Holden Caulfield's whiny, but the bad thing is that you're whiny too, so, you get used to it. That's what people are like. And the theme for the next cycle is music, and I look forward to seeing what you do with that. I will see you tomorrow.